Hey, what's going on, guys? Get this figured out here. Got a new camera phone, well, new phone last week. So now it's just a matter of getting all the kinks worked out of it, or what's going to be the best. All of this. God, it looks terribly out of focus. Please tell me that's in focus. Can you guys see that? Welcome to the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So it started, gosh, 2 months ago. Because there's been no figures coming into the house because of the coronavirus. Nothing's being shipped. There's always a lull at the beginning of the year where you may go a few weeks without anything happening, anything coming in. But I mean, it's been like nothing. I've got the Hulkbuster Jack Hammer Arm last week. And that was the first thing that came to me in, I don't even know how long it's been, over 2 months. So I decided I was just going to I figured I could just in one day go through like my entire collection, just take things off the shelf, put them up here in front of you guys, and just to say, here you go, here's this figure, and here you go, there's that figure, and I thought I could do that all in 2 hours. Got over 200 1/6 scale figures. Um, Probably 95% of them are Hot Toys figures, and was an impractical belief. That was ridiculous to even consider that, and so I don't know how many I go through, but I've been going through them now for about 2 hours every week with you guys, showing them off, taking them off the shelf, bringing them up close and personal. So that's where we are so far, and we're about through with them, to tell you the truth. So I decided today to talk about the Vampirella and Lady Death shelf, the Phicen shelf. These are Phicen figures. Phicen figures are absolutely amazing. If you've never collected a Phicen figure, you are truly, truly missing out. Um, they are seamless, so the only seam that you have, depending on which version that you buy, would be the wrists, of course, the head onto the neck, and the foot. And select Phicen figures even have a seamless foot. So from head to toe, the only seams you have are interchangeable hands, and she comes with interchangeable feet. Other than that, there's no joints, which really give a realism to the figure. They're made with some type of medical grade rubber. I don't know exactly which version of it is. There's a lot of questions and concerns and comments on how best to preserve this material over the long run. Will it decay? Will it break apart? There have been instances of people who have had little rips come in them here and there. And I don't know what year or version or what the circumstances were that caused that. So they are a little more delicate than just a standard plastic figure in that regards. But if you're looking for something with the realism of not having seams, because we don't have seams, we don't have joints in our arms where we could take our shoulders off and all that. We're seamless. If you want to have that seamless look in a character, Phicen is the way to go. And they get together with certain companies at times to create special figures. The Vampirella figures were made with, I believe, Executive Replica. I don't remember who it was that they went into agreement with to make these, but they have made now 4 versions of them. I have the first 3. So the very first one was this one, which was literally called the Asian version. And when she was announced, the question came at that time, will they be making another version other than the Asian version? And there's no word. There's nothing saying anything. So if you wanted a Vampirella, I'm going to trim her hair here. If you wanted a Vampirella, this was the one that you wanted. So this is what came. She came with a lot of features. I don't remember everything that she came with. And I don't know why my phone keeps chiming. Probably a stupid Facebook notification needs to be turned off. I don't have any idea. But this is her here. And sometimes they'll stand on their own. Sometimes they'll need a little assistance to get them just weighted properly. And I have her weighted. I have her positioned to be able to stand on this diorama. This is, I believe, one of the dioramas that came with her. I don't remember. I'll move dioramas around to fit my need with the character. But so this was the very first one that came out. You see how long her hair is in the back? Each one of them come with this little little bat. And I've put a little glue on her finger there to keep the little bat on. And I use Elmer's glue whenever I do something like that because it doesn't really stick to anything, really. It just comes right off. You just pull it clean off. And so that's, of course, why the bat has now fallen off. So I'll put a little more glue on there. I'll scrape off the glue that's on there now. Just all you got to do is just pull it, come right off. It doesn't damage anything, so it's not really glued to anything. And then I'll just put it back on there. So this is her. And some of them also are anatomically correct. Some of them are not. So some of them have nipples on their breasts. Some of them have the women's parts between their thighs. Very few of them do not. So they are anatomically correct figures as well. So about a year after this one came out, they released this one. And I think this one was called the SHCC version. I don't remember what her name was. And you can see her hair is much shorter as well than the Asian version. And of course, the head sculpt is different. This one is made out of a type of a cloth, her outfit is. Or this one was made out of that simulated leather outfit. The bodies are just a little bit different between the two of them. Phicen makes many different bodies, and they'll even do custom bodies if it's needed to, in order to attain a specific look for a figure or character that they're making. So they're not off the shelf identical figures putting a different head sculpt on and giving different clothes. These two are not. They're different. Truthfully. And I don't want to mess with their feet too much because I have them on this molded diorama that they stand on. The diorama didn't come with any figure stand. It didn't come with anything to hold them up, so they stand on their own. And 99% of the time, they stand right here just where I placed them, balanced on their own feet. I don't have anything holding them on the diorama. They stand quite well. So I'm not going to bend their legs way too much because I want to be able to just place them right back on here when I put the diorama back onto the shelf. So I'll lay them over here. Her fingers fit into that little head sculpt. They have little finger holes, and she's just holding that in there. If you want to, again, you can just drop a little glue inside of it. Like I said, I use Elmer's glue, white school glue, the white glue, because it doesn't damage anything if you need to hold it in place. They then came out with the Jose Gonzalez figure, Vampirella. This last year. And there's a Caroline Monroe figure, which is very expensive. And I have her on this. All of them have come with pretty much the same thing. They all come with a cape. They all come with, you know, the skull, the bat. Different types of jewelry are available or come with different ones. But you'll notice that these outfits are the same on these two. All right. But on these two bodies, they didn't have any nipples. On her, she actually has nipples on her breasts. So that was what I was saying on how the differences of the figures that come about. And so this one was the 50th anniversary Jose Gonzalez. And I think Jose Gonzalez was like one of the artists involved with Vampirella. And so this is her. And now they have a, I'm pretty sure it's Caroline Monroe, I think is what it's called. And it's like, I haven't ordered that one yet. It's a little more expensive. It came right after this one. And it's essentially this figure again, only with the head sculpt of the actress. That I don't know what the whole story is. I think she was supposed to play Vampirella in a movie or something. And I don't know. I really don't know the whole story. I'm sorry. I don't know. But I have not pulled the trigger on that. I don't know if I'm going to or not. Simply because it's exact same as this one, only with a different head sculpt. So in all truthfulness, with the second one that came out, she also came out with this tongue out head sculpt. So she came with two head sculpts. The first one came with just the one head sculpt. And this one also came with two head sculpts. So essentially between the three figures, there's 5 head sculpts already. So if you were to like double them up, you could actually have 5 different looking Vampirellas essentially. They weren't different looking head sculpts, it's just different posing. Her tongue outside of her mouth. Kind of a mischievous look. But this is this one. I'm almost positive. I think this one's called the Jose Gonzalez 50th Anniversary Vampirella. There she's standing on her own. So it doesn't take much to get the Phicen figures to agree with where you place them and have them stand. But sometimes it takes a little patience and effort to get them exactly where you want them. And again, there's no holes in the diorama. There's no place for a stand. You could drill one in if you wanted to and put a stand around her. I'm sure it wouldn't be difficult. I have not, and I don't, and they stand fine. And I even felt that earthquake that happened a week or so ago. It was real small little tremor. I was sitting in my chair about 4 o'clock in the morning my time, and I just felt a little wobble. And gosh, it was like 200 miles away. And just a little wobble, just enough that would have knocked anything over if it had been precariously balanced. And I didn't see anything that had fallen over. So that's obviously always a concern in regards to that. Next I have over here is my Lady Death. So Phicen has made 2 of these. This was the diorama that came with the second Lady Death. I have 2 of the first ones and 1 of the second. So I'll bring them all over here. So this is a neat little diorama. On the bottom of her feet are holes, like you may have seen on figures, especially the little 5-inch ones or 1/12 scale, little holes on the bottom of their feet for pegs to put them on figure stands. So she has holes on the bottom of her feet, right at the arch of her foot there. I'll show you that. Maybe you can see it. Little hole here. And on this diorama are pegs. So I placed her feet in the pegs. And she stood up well. And also what I've done here is I combined some of the different variants together between the 2 figures. Oh, Spidey, we'll have to figure something out for you. So what we have here, then, is these are the first Lady Deaths in their garments. This is the second Lady Death. Death's Warrior, I think, was the name of this one. And she actually came with this base and chair as the deluxe version. You could have either bought her regular, or you could have bought the chair, or you could have bought the chair separate if you wanted to just have the chair if you'd bought the first Lady Death and didn't want to buy an additional Lady Death. The figures are identical in regards to the structure of the figure between the 2. They have the same parts, the same sculpted, and the same shaped bodies, unlike these. So each one have just a little bit different muscular definition and thickness in the thighs. Each one of these 3 are different. These 2 are the same bodies. And if I remember correctly, the head sculpt is the same as well. So this one came with the helmet, put the helmet on her. I can't tell the difference between these 3 heads in whether or not there is a difference at all. I think it's just a matter of the garments that came with the Death's Warrior and the throne, more or less, of her. The first one came with the plastic sword. The second one came with a metal sword with the blood stain on it. And so these are the Phicen Lady Death figures. And they look really great. Again, I really love my Phicen figures. Their seamlessness and the way that they've portrayed the female form is amazing. Absolutely amazing. When the pictures were first shown of the prototype of the very first one, she appeared to have a blue tint to her. And I don't see any blue in her. We discussed that before about how you can change a shade of white by adding blue or black to your pigment to make it brighter or off a little bit from a pure white. And but I don't see a blue in her. Also, in the comics, sometimes they will put blue into her coloring to separate her from just the white of a panel. But from my understanding, she's supposed to be white. So I don't see any blue in her. Now I'm wearing a very bright blue shirt, which may affect how the image is portrayed to you guys. But when I look at her, she is white. And I don't remember whether or not she has nipples. And she does. She has nipples on her, which again, whether that's important to you or not, that's your own personal taste. But she does come with, the nipples are on her breast. They all came with the hourglass, if I remember correctly. And so you see I have that displayed. They all came with the sai. And I think that is the extent of the accessories that came with her. So really, like I said, the difference between the two were the garments that clothed her. The original Lady Death and the Death's Warrior. I think this one did not come with this diorama at all. I don't remember if I have a third one of these or not. I don't think I do. And in all truthfulness, one of these may be hers. I don't. I'm sorry. I have to look back at my own videos to see which diorama actually came with which at times, because I'll move dioramas around because one may look better on something else rather than what the one came with as it is. So these are the Phicen Lady Deaths. And again, like I said, if you've never owned a Phicen figure, you really are missing out if you want this type of seamless and the form of the female body and such. Phicen is definitely that. No doubt about it. So a lot of times collectors will buy standard Phicen figures and replace their Hot Toys figures with that in order to achieve a certain look or a more realistic look, to get away with the seams in the arms and the shoulders and such. And they'll sell Phicen figures just as such, without a head sculpt, if you wish, seamless legs, ankles or not. So you have different choices. And there's, for the most part now, there's only suntan and pale for the most part in that regards for the shades. And I think suntan is the one that you want to go with for most of the Hot Toys figures. By the way, did you guys see the 1984 Wonder Woman? Holy smokes. I won't be getting her because I don't have any DC figures, and it just doesn't really fit in anywhere. I've never even seen any of the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman movies. Matter of fact, the last DC movie I've seen would have been Ben Affleck's, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. I've not seen a DC movie since, so I've not seen any of the DC Extended Universe at all, any of them. And I take that back. I've seen the Christian Bale Batman movies, and I've seen the Heath Ledger Joker. So that's also, I guess, Christian Bale. Seen the Heath Ledger Joker, but I've not seen anything since then. So I've not seen any of the new Batmans. I've not seen any of the Ben Affleck Batmans. Not seen any of the Cavill Supermans. Not seen any of them. Not because I have anything wrong with them. I just never got around to getting to see them in the movies. So, nor take the time to watch them after that. So I don't have any connection there. But man, oh man, oh man, what a beautiful figure. It comes in two versions. The second version has an alternate wing position. So one is like the wings are out. Another one, the wings are kind of curved in just a little bit. I believe that's the only difference between the two of them. And she's in this gold armor. Holy smokes. Really looks really, 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 really super nice. Really great. Grandiose 86, those figures look really good. Thank you. Ghost Tab, I ordered an Anubis figure from Phicen. Really good articulation. they can be put into extreme poses. Again, I'm not going to pose these about because anytime you start bending your figures around, you really end up loosening up things in regards to that. And I have them standing literally, she's on her own here. And I start bending her, I'm literally going to just loosen up those joints, and I want her to stay as she is. But yeah, gosh, you can really bend them about. I mean, there's no question about it. I'm trying to think if I might have a Phicen figure I can show you how articulated they are. There is no joke on the articulation of them. Just think gymnasts, for real. That's how articulated they are. You can just really bend them about. And yeah, they no longer call themselves Phicen. They call themselves TB League. There was this issue, I don't remember now, maybe 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where they got into some dispute over trademark or copyright or something with another company that was using the Phicen name and the products. And as soon as these things cross borders, there's always a disagreement as to who is whom. And so they started calling themselves TB League. But I just can't get out of the habit of calling them Phicen. I will always call them Phicen, probably. But yeah, TB League is what they call themselves now. If you like armors, check the Saint Seiya Godcloth series. It will blow your mind. Okay, I'll have to check that out. There was another figure that was announced. What was it? Trying to remember, by a third-party company. It looked really good. I don't remember what it was. But there's a lot of figures that are being announced. There's just no figures being delivered. Golly, when they start being delivered, my wallet's just going to be like moths flying out of it. It's going to take all the money out for all the figures that I've got ordered. They're supposed to be delivered during Q1, Q2 of 2020. So Q1, Q2 is gone. We are in the middle of Q2, second quarter of 2020. So January, February, March is quarter one. April, May, June is quarter two, and we're dead center of quarter two. And so here's virtually 6 months of figures that haven't been released, shipped, or delivered. And now all of a sudden it's going to be blam, boom, here you go. Here's 12 pre-orders you need to pay for, $300 a pop. What? So, yeah, that's going to be real fun. Here we go. So these are Phicen figures that I've put clothes on. I don't remember who made the outfit here, but it's Poison from Street Fighter, and she's in a Phicen body. So it came with the head and all the clothing here. This is the diorama base from the Chitauri soldiers, the warrior and the commander. So I thought she looked good on that. The only thing they did wrong here, really, is the heels are like the wrong shape for this foot, and it's just weird in that manner. I don't know if you can see that, but when you're looking at her from as such, you don't notice it. And matter of fact, if I didn't point it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed it either. But this is the Phicen, standard Phicen figure, seamless ankles, dressed up as Poison from Street Fighter. I bought 2 of those outfits, specifically because when I seen this, what came to my mind was Mary Jane. And so I wanted to make a Mary Jane. I showed her to you when I did my Spider-Man a couple weeks ago. I'll pull her up here again. So what this was, or is a Phicen / TB League / executive replicas. I'm not sure who all were involved in this. Red Sonia Steampunk figure. And you notice she has the articulated feet. So there's a seam there at the ankle. And so I took the Steampunk Phicen figure and put the top on her from Poison. And this is the Red Sonia head. I was going to use the shorts and everything, but I decided just to keep her in these leather pants. Looks good. So this is my Mary Jane, because I remember Mary Jane is a redhead, MJ is Mary Jane, not Michelle. Her name is Mary. Mary Jane. So this is my Mary Jane, Spider-Man's girl. And she started life off as a TB League or Phicen Red Sonia Steampunk. And that's the t-shirt from the Poison. You notice the bust sizes between these two. This was just a standard typical Phicen body. I don't remember what the series number on it was. And this is one that they made for the Red Sonja. And this is another Phicen figure. TB. You know who TB is? And so again, this was just an outfit that needed to be put onto a Phicen body or any figure body. There's a couple other companies that make seamless figures as well. And so I'm just using Phicens for these. And so this is 2B near Automata. And again, this is a Phicen figure. So you get, again, you know, the whole purpose is the seamlessness. And so in these areas where it's very important to stress this character, you know, in the outfit that she wears, these are the parts of her body which are, you know, the focus for you, because everything else is clothed up. You know, a seam just really is a distractor in that regards. So to emphasize the beauty of the character, to show off what the artist intended by creating her in such garments, you know, you go with the seamless look. And this is near Automata 2B. And she looks great as a Phicen figure. But all you bought was just the outfit. So you had to find a body to put it into. Came with one of these. I bought two of these. So I thought I would be changing her into different outfits. And I just put together the one. I don't remember what I may have done with some of the other clothing. It's about somewhere. The WW Golden Chicken costume. Is that what you call the new Wonder Woman, the 1984? I think it looks beautiful. I really love it. By the way, I'm doing well, Save on Mason. Welcome to the channel this morning. Welcome. Starting to get my pre-orders from Japan and China. Not Hot Toys, but Figma and Figuarts. That's cool. That's cool. I don't believe I've got anything from Figma and Figuarts on order. I'll buy stuff from them because they mostly make like 1/12 scale. For the most part that I see. And so like for Ant-Man, I'll buy those figures. And but I've not seen anything yet. Got my Hulkbuster accessory arm, and that's it. Where's another Phicen? So I made a Ray into a Phicen figure, and because I didn't like the jointed knees on her, and the hardest thing I had was to match up her skin tone. Ray didn't come in a skin tone which was similar to the Phicen figures, and so I literally applied several shades of makeup to the body to try to alter the appearance of the body. And it worked to my satisfaction, but it was never absolutely perfect. But this is my Ray Phicen. And again, the knees is what was driving me crazy on this figure. You know, they had a big articulated joint right there, and I didn't care for it. Now, when I bought this, I wasn't buying Ray. I was buying BB-8. The only way you could have gotten BB-8 when it first came out was through the Ray / BB-8 character collection set. So I didn't much care for the figure in the first place. So it didn't bother me totally taking everything off of the Hot Toys figure and then putting it all onto a Phicen figure. But I spent weeks trying to color the body to the head. And there's lots of different videos of different people who have tried different things to try to change the tint or the color of a figure. You know, if you wanted to make them blue or red, for instance, if you were trying to make some different colored figures for that purpose, they've tried dyeing them and painting them with different things. There's a lot of different videos out there of different people who have tried different things, some very successful, some not so successful in regards to doing that. But this is Ray in a Phicen body. The other thing I was doing also, I didn't care for how that boot came out, so I trimmed all the little strings off of it that were molded into the plastic boot and actually laced strings onto it. That was a lot of work. That's why you only see it on one boot. Never trimmed the XX pieces onto there. But this is Ray. She is a Phicen figure now. I put her in a Phicen body. And that was a lot of work. A lot. More so work than what was necessary or needed. Especially because after it was all said and done, you really couldn't see the knee joints anyhow. But I'm pleased with her. Still don't really care much for the character. You know, it's not like she's my shining star of my collection. But she is what she is. Even after the last movie, still don't get it. Still don't know why. I still don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I still don't know why. It just doesn't add up. Nothing adds up. So this is not a Phicen. This was I think Star Ace made this. I think Hot Toys made one also. But this would be a good candidate for a Phicen body if I felt so inclined. I don't. But what I did do, let's put a girl at his feet. It's a Phicen body. Little wicked little slave girl here. And so I just have him standing as such. I don't have a figure stand for him, but I don't know where he was standing. I think something to this effect. But this you can see a lot of how articulated the Phicen body can be put. Got her displayed here at his feet. remember where he was just standing. I think he was standing here, using his staff to help support him. So that's supposed to be Leonidas from the movie 300, Frank Miller's 300. With his Phicen girl. Of course, not a scene from the movie, but my scene, my movie. There's this little slave girl. I have a Betty and Veronica, or no, excuse me, a Thelma and a Velma, jeez, and Daphne. Oh, I can't even tell you who is doing here. And Daphne is a Phicen. Velma is, I'm going to say the name incorrectly, Daenerys from Game of Thrones body. And I bought Daenerys specifically because I wanted a shorter body. All the Phicen bodies, for the most part, are about 12 inches tall, which limits the scalability of them. So again, these were oh, what happened here? Press my mouse button. Closed out my channel. Jeez. This computer. I hate this computer. What the hell? So anyhow, again, these were clothing outfits that you bought, and then you would put them on a body. And so Daphne is in a Phicen, and Velma is a Daenerys. So I don't remember who made her, but her little feet just are broken. They just don't support her at all. At all. So if you had a Daenerys figure, I'm curious if you also have the little feet problem here. But there you can see the articulated knees, which are, that's just not attractive on a figure if you're trying to show it off. So if I could find, a seamless figure that was about this tall or so, a little chubbier, would be great for a Velma. And so in the meantime, Daenerys, I think that's how you say her name. I'm sure I'm saying it incorrectly. I've never seen Game of Thrones. So this was who I used. Their little broken little feet for my Velma. Scooby-Doo team. Yeah, look at her little feet. Jeez. But these are, again, clothes that you buy and then you put them onto a body to make your character. And this is Daphne in her Phicen body. And, of course, no seam in the knees. These are detachable feet. So there's a little seam there, but you really can't see very well that the seam there worked well. Her stockings did on this character. What the hell? Sheesh, what did I click? So in comparison to stockings on a figure, not a Phicen body, I'll show you my Peggy Carter. poor Peggy, her stockings just do not fit her properly. And they just are all bunched up on this figure. And this figure came with a figure, so it wasn't clothes that you put onto her. And the stockings just fall down. They just slide down the hard plasticness of the body. They just don't stay up. With the Phicen figures, that's actually sometimes very difficult to get the stockings on because they want to grab onto this latex, this rubber that the skin is. And this is just a smooth plastic, and you just see it bunches up, it just slides down. You can see the ankle, and this looks really bad. It's really, really bad. So she could benefit from a Phicen figure body just so we don't have to see all this bunched up. I mean, there's nothing else on here that you would see any seam whatsoever. But most importantly, in her case, is this ankle. It just looks so bad the way the stockings just don't stay up. They just bunch. They just bunch up. It just looks terrible. This is Peggy Carter. I don't remember who it was that made this. WS Toys, maybe? I don't remember. I'm sorry, SW Toys? I don't remember. Come on. This stupid computer, I swear. Oh my God. I have to turn it on like 2 hours before my show just to be able to get it to respond. If I do any changes to it whatsoever, it just totally freaks out. I need to, again, I spend my money on figures. I don't spend my money on other stuff. It's so difficult to justify spending my money on anything else, like display stands and a new computer and all that. I'm like, oh, that one works well enough. This one does not work well enough anymore. It's driving me crazy. So I finally was able to click in here. Hopefully I'll see your feed here in a couple of seconds. I've got the camera turned around, obviously, so I can't see anything that you would be chatting up on the face of my phone in the YouTube app. So the only comments I can see is when they're coming through on the computer, and when I accidentally hit the mouse button when I put Leonidas over there, closed it out. It's taken this long just to get it up. Here we go. Are you going to look for a custom Sith dagger for your Rey? That's a good question. I didn't know such a thing existed. Interesting. Toys? Would you get a Sith version Rey if Hot Toys makes one? I will say that looked awesome in the movie. Obviously, we're talking about the last movie where Rey had, I'm not sure what it was, or there's a vision or what it was that she was experiencing, but they showed a Sith version of her, and oh my God, that was amazing. That really was amazing. I don't know what Hot Toys' opinion is of their Rey character. They obviously have the license. They can make any Star Wars figure they want, from my understanding. In that regard, they're certainly cranking out the Mandalorian figures right now. Boba Fett has always been a very popular figure, which brought a whole telling of that line, that whole thing, which Lucas always knew where he was in regards to things, but he never considered him to be an integral or an important figure. You know, when he killed him off in Return of the Jedi, he regretted doing that, and when the remakes of it, we see that he actually narrowly escapes the jaws of was that the Sarlacc? I don't remember who it was. The jaws that they were trying to shove Luke into, and now of course we have an entire Mandalorian television show, which I've really been meaning to order Disney just to watch. I'm having a hard time convincing my wife to get it. She doesn't want to pay the money for that, and I really want to see The Mandalorian. I really enjoyed Picard, by the way. Speaking of paying for a television show, really, really super enjoyed Star Trek Picard. I've been really disenfranchised with the Kelvin timeline, Star Trek, and with Star Trek Discovery, been really disappointed in those. And with Star Trek Picard, I really felt like we had a good story. I had some problems with it, really minor problems. I didn't appreciate some of the characters' arc or means or need for a character to be the way that they were. I kind of felt that was piss poor writing. They could have done a better job with that, and they didn't have to go the direction that they went. But other than that, I really enjoyed how it went. Um, and it was a pretty good surprise throughout watching it. And if you've not seen Star Trek Picard, check it out, especially if you are any type of a Gene Roddenberry Star Trek fan. If you are any type of a fan that holds on to the TOS, TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, any of that Star Trek, then I think you would enjoy it. Especially if you're having problems with the Kelvin timeline or with Discovery, I think you would really enjoy it. It's really, really, really good. It still falls into the category of the Romulus Remus problem that they experienced, I think, in Star Trek Nemesis. So it really takes place after Star Trek Nemesis, about 15 years, I think, 20 years. I don't remember what the time frame is, but that's where it's picking up. So the Romulus and Remus thing happened, and so that's where it is. It's in that timeline still. It's not the branching off of Kelvin. It's not the Discovery timeline, which I don't even understand that at all. But it is really, 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 really good. So, yeah, I think the Sith creation of Rey that they did in the movie was really cool. I thought she was total badass. I thought she looked really cool. Yeah, to tell you the truth, if they had written Star Trek, if they had written the last three movies of Star Wars with a Sith Rey, holy crap. If they had changed how they were doing things, if their whole focus had been in that manner with a Sith Rey, I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if Rey was the Sith instead of Kylo Ren being the Sith. I swear to God, if they had made Kylo Ren the Rey and had made Rey the Kylo Ren, I think I would have enjoyed that even more. That would have probably been a little more believable to me in regards to things. In all actuality, in the absolute, after seeing the final three movies and understanding who these people are supposed to be wholly, I think if they had made a female Kylo Ren, Sith Rey, if Daisy Riddle had played the Kylo Ren, and if I'm sorry, I don't remember the actor's name, Adam Driver, who played Kylo Ren, if he was the Rey, that would have been far better. Truthfully, I think she was badass as a Sith, totally. And looking back on it, if she was the Sith, if she was the Kylo Ren the entire time, that would have made her like the Darth Vader, a female Darth Vader, if you will. That would have been superb. That would have been a perfect, better telling of things. And they still be the same, okay? Kylo Ren still be of the same lineage and heritage. His father and mother still being the same person. Rey's parents still being the same person. That would have made a better story. 100%. And have the same things happen. Having the scene where Kylo ends the life of the one character, had Daisy as Kylo in the life of that character without there being the familial heritage there, without that being what it was. You know what I mean? Are you following me? I think that would have been a much better 7, 8, and 9 Star Wars story. 100%. A badass Sith, female Sith? Oh, man. That would have been much better. Much better. If Kylo was Kylo, only instead of him being the Sith, if he was the lost Rey. And then we had to find out who his parents were later. Just like we had to find out who Rey's parents were later in that third movie. If they never told us who Kylo's parents were until that third movie. But he was the Rey, more or less. And if they told us who her parents were, she did in the final movie, and she was the Sith Lord that whole time, and still be that connection between the two of them as well, oh, man. See, that would have been a better story, truthfully. Really would have been, 100%. Made the Kylo the Rey. Simple as that. That would have done it. Ray Skywalker. Velma's feet looks like they were broken by mobsters. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. Tell us where the ghosts are. How dare you infiltrate our dastardly plan? We're busting your feet up. Yeah, I agree. Totally. 100%. And yeah, this definitely would benefit from a Phicen body for those feet there. That would make a big difference, a big change. And the stockings would work better too. It wouldn't slide down the smooth, hard plastic of that figure's body. So yeah, that would make a big difference. Swapping out a Phicen for that. For a fact. Let's see, what else have I got? We've really gone through a lot of the figures. There's not many left. The entire Star Wars collection, the Ultron collection, the bad guys. I haven't gone over the bad guys. I think that is it in regards to Phicens. I'm looking around trying to remember if I have any other Phicen figures anywhere. No, that's it. That's all the Phicens. Robocop best movie ever made or greatest movie ever made? Really? You think so? I think when it was first made, it was really, really neat. It was quite a thought as to what the story of the Robocop was. A lot of story there, when you watch that first movie. I don't know how it stands up by today's generation. They like looking at a movie with backwards eyes and they start tearing it apart for this reason or that reason. And they're really being stupid about it. I mean, they've been so spoiled with the computer generated graphics and the storytelling. They look back on anything from the past and they don't realize that this was the first time this was brought to our attention. This is the first time a thought like that came apart. They don't quite, in my opinion, they don't quite grasp that deep heart or head impact that we experienced when we first seen the movie 30 years ago or so. I don't even remember when RoboCop came out. Middle 80s, late 80s, early 90s. I don't even remember. But when it came out, there really was nothing else like that at that time. And so, it was shocking and surprising, and it was really a great story in that regards, and especially with all the underlying stories in regards to it as well, of the corporation owning your body and whomever else, especially now with the controversy of Carrie Fisher's being used in the Star Wars movies when she's long gone. And what was his name? Sheesh. The general in the movie. What was his name? It's totally slipped me. I can't even think of his character's name right now. Tarkin. Grand Moff Tarkin, totally digitally generated figure, character. And, the younger crowd doesn't understand the excitement. For instance, when Tobey Maguire swung through the city, I mean, that was a big deal. That was the very first time they were actually able to make Spider-Man appear to be swinging through the city. It's a huge deal for us. We're watching this back in, when was it, 2000, I think, when that movie came out. That was huge. That was beyond any comprehension. And now the younger generation who look back on it are like, oh, this is so stupid and hokey and fakey and this and that. And how do you even enjoy this? I don't even like this movie. It looks so stupid and fake. And it's just beyond me that they look at it with 2020 vision and can't appreciate the movie for what it is. And it's such a crying shame. Can't show these new people Blade Runner. They just don't get it. They dismiss it. They're like, oh, I already know how the movie's going to end. after watching it for 5 minutes. And back when we first saw it, it was just an eye opener and a shock, and such a cinematographic cinema. How would I even say that? It was just such a well done movie at the time, and it's to us who've seen it then and hadn't seen anything like that at that point, and we're just shocked about the subject matter and the thought processes of the replicants, and was Decker a replicant? Was he not a replicant? That big question that you couldn't even answer at the time. And now they just dismiss it and call it a joke and whatever else. And it's just really, it's a crying shame. They just, I don't understand what's wrong with this generation that can't enjoy or get into the older stuff because they've done it all, seen it all, been there, and it's really a shame that they miss out on a lot of that. Robocop was a really good movie when it came out. Sure was, no joke. Because there was nothing else like that. Who would have ever thought for 1 second at that point of you being a police officer, being so badly tore up that you can be turned into a robot man without your say so? You signed your life away when you signed that contract to become a police officer. That you're thinking that they're going to put a new heart in you. You're thinking that they're going to replace your leg, and they're like, "No, we're going to take your brain and put you into a robot." Deep, deep, deep. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, for fact. And that was only what, not even 10 years after Spider-Man. I mean, so like the big CGI jumps would be Jurassic Park, obviously. Star Wars was a huge jump in regards to model making and the beauty of that. And then Jurassic Park came out in CGI. We're believing dinosaurs are walking, and then we're believing that Tobey Maguire is swinging through the city. Not even 10 years later, and then not even 10 years later, Iron Man. Totally. He's not wearing that iron armor. He's not wearing that suit of armor. He has some pieces that he wears. Sometimes the shoulders and some of the hands, or whatever he may be wearing this or that for the filming of the movie. But for the most part, that suit, he's not wearing that suit. It's all CGI. It's totally believable. Totally believable. Jeez. So, I don't know. I've filled up my table here with figures that are going to take a few minutes to put away. So, what I think I'm going to do is wrap this up. We've gone through the Phicens. I can't think of any other Phicen figure that I own. I've got Phicen down here waiting on the Mantis. I don't remember who it was that made a Mantis, but here's a brand new Phicen doll figure that will go with the Mantis when the Mantis pieces get here, whenever that's going to be. I don't remember who it was I ordered it, who manufactured it. There are two companies that made Mantis figures, and I bought the one that hasn't shipped yet. The other one shipped, and I really wasn't pleased with that in the first place. And I've seen some after it's been shipped, and I'm glad I didn't get it. I'm waiting on the one that I did order. Now also we see now the Hot Toys showed a Mantis in the photograph of the new Captain Marvel figure that they made, but they haven't announced the release or pre-order announcement of that Mantis. So I can't tell you how many times Hot Toys has teased us with a character that never came about. Mark 28 Jack-o'-lantern is one, or Jack. Mark 28 Jack was one that they showcased behind was it the blue steel with the disco? I don't remember which figure they showed it posed with on the pre-order announcement of that figure. They showed the Mark 28 Jack there, and Mark 28 Jack never came about. And I think the reason that didn't come about was because they were also beginning to do the transition over to the diecast replacement figures of the 7 figures, of which we've had 2 through 7 so far. We've not had number 1, and number 2 was way after number 3, as far as that goes. And I was hoping they were going to give us an Armor Unleashed version of number 2, and they did not. So the plastic ones are still great, by the way. if you haven't started collecting the first 7, and you think, well, the only way to get it would be the diecast. The diecast is a better figure, but there's nothing wrong with the plastic ones either. You may have to paint over the faded out hands and what we call the pink panties, and you can do that with this paint right here. This Testors TS70, or I mean Tamiya Color TS74. TS74, just spray it right on there. You don't have to strip the paint off of it. You don't have to knock it down to the bare plastic. Just paint it over it. This is it's a clear coat red, and it literally brings the red back to it. If you need to fix the pink panties on one of the original figures that have faded out on your Iron Man figures. So if you're looking for a good value on an Iron Man figure, I would imagine the first 7, the plastic ones, 2 through 7, the plastic ones, people are probably getting rid of those because they only want to have just one Iron Man or whatever, or they want the die cast and they're selling them. You could probably get a good price on them. It's still a great figure, for real. And if they have a pink panties, big deal. Buy you a can of this TS74, clear red, spray it on there, back to new. Back to new. Looks really good. So that'll solve that problem. So next week, I guess what I'm going to go through will be the villains, because I think that's what I'm at. I've got the Black Panther series, which I haven't shown you yet, and the villains. So like Obadiah Stane, Ironmonger, the Loki that I've kit bashed for that, and the Star Wars. That's what I have left. So hopefully in the next 2 weeks, something will start coming. So I'm running out of figures to show you. Got a Daredevil, Netflix Daredevil. Also, Stan Lee. And then I think I've gone through everything. I think there's some Avengers we didn't go through in the other room from Age of Ultron. I think some of those Avengers we haven't talked about either. So I have 2 or 3 weeks left of content, I believe, to talk about. Always something to talk about, really. I mean, it's really your channel. This is just a place for us to meet and talk, share ideas and thoughts, bitch and complain, moan about what we're not getting or how we don't like it, or to talk praises of certain figures or certain things that we like, sharing with the community. It's really what this is. We're just getting together. The Matrix was a big milestone. Oh my God, wasn't it? For CGI and black trench coats. Happy Saturday, everybody. That's right. Some people, it's nighttime. Here on the West Coast, it's early morning when I start up, 7 o'clock. And that's because I want to try to get everybody in at a pretty decent time. There's that basin in the Pacific Ocean where it's the middle of the night, early morning, where not too many people would be watching or being on at that time. That's why we do it. At 7 o'clock in the morning, I get up at 6 to do this. And I don't get up at 6 o'clock ever. I don't need to. I work at home. I don't need to get up at 6 o'clock during the week. So I do it for you guys. Same skin tone. Obviously, you know, Lady Death is not. I think my Nier Automata 2B is a different skin tone than Poison. Let's get her over here because these two are just standard Phicen bodies with the clothes on them. And I think what we have here, if I remember correctly, is the suntan on the Nier Automata and the pale on the Poison. So if I remember correctly, she's suntanned and she's pale. And her head sculpt is pale, so it worked out well. And her head sculpt is suntanned. So these, I believe, are your two body shades. I don't know if that's in the center of the camera or not. Smooth these over just a little bit more here. Let's get Peggy out of the way. Yeah, I filled my desk up. And it's going to take a little bit to put these back. I have to be very careful on standing these up because most of them are standing on their own. So that's why I'm kind of winding this down. So I don't want to spend 30 minutes just putting them away and have you guys just look at me putting figures away. It's silly. But if I remember correctly, she's pale and she's suntan. And the pale ones are rare. There's not many figures that come, head sculpts that will come with a pale appearance to them. But she's pale and she's suntan, if you can see that. It's a little more pronounced or defined in person than what might be coming across here. I don't know. Let's see if I can get this up to where I am here. I don't know if you can really see the difference here, but there really is just a slight difference. If you get the wrong one with the head sculpt, you'll know instantly that it's the wrong one. And sometimes it just isn't a good match. But for instance, like this collar around her neck or the clothing here where there's separation, your eye will blend them together unless it's blatant. If you put this pale head on this suntan body, you'll know instantly. But if the paleness is just off just a little bit, your mind will bring it together. Same thing with this. If the suntan is off just a little bit, your mind will bring it together. However, on Ray, it did not. So I had to darken her body. She was really much darker than the suntan body was. And so I just started I had no idea what else to do to color the body. So I figured I would just get makeup and try to stain it. And I just started smearing all different kinds of shades of makeup on there to try to discolor her. And it really didn't work out as best as I thought it would. But I eventually got to a point where I felt pleased with my attempt at trying to get it to that. But for the most part, suntan and pale, suntan will be most of your figures. Mostly will be that, for fact. Other than that, the Phicen figures, I believe, are all pales. I don't remember, to tell you the truth. But of course, the Vampirellas are custom figures made by Phicen for that body, so it's not a standard Phicen figure. Same thing with Lady Death, custom figure made for Lady Death, so it's not a standard figure, the color on that. So you really can't compare that to the basic standard figures that Hot Toys or Phicen TB League make. Oh, what are you using? What are you using for your Kit Bash Red Skull? Ah, yeah, that's the big question for your Anne Hathaway Catwoman Maid outfit. Um, Even the smallest bust figure of Phicen has ample bosoms, really. I think these were the large, and I think this was small. And for instance, if you were like to do a Pepper Potts, and if I remember the Anne Hathaway Catwoman also is pretty smaller breasted. It's difficult because sometimes the suits won't fit into that. Even if you go with the smaller breast, it just don't fit. I don't know if there's other manufacturers out there, because I know there's other manufacturers out there that make seamless bodies. The Phicens are the only ones that I've dabbled in, so I don't know how the others are. But even in a small breast, which she is, compared to this one, which is a larger breast figure, they're not small. You know what I mean? Like a Pepper Potts. If you were to try to do a Pepper Potts again without the ample bosom, it's going to be difficult. She's going to come with large breasts, and even the small ones are. So that's going to be tough. Is Poison a dude? So what happened was, if you were to look at the history of that, of Poison, when they first made the figure, they just made a badass, kick-ass character, and she's out there fighting martial arts. And oh my God, somebody had a problem with a guy fighting a girl in a video game, and somebody complained and bitched and moaned and whatever else. And so then they decided to say that Poison is I don't know what you would say. She has both breasts and male parts, is what video game manufacturers' claim was, to try to make it out so that it wasn't so bad that you're fighting a girl in a video game. If I'll tell you right now, if this woman has gone through years of martial arts training and enters into a street fight scenario against guys, you're gonna have to fight her. She's a martial arts trained expert, and that's what poison was. So no, originally that was never the thing. That was something that came much later after the video game was out and people were playing the game and it was a popular game and we loved the game and we were just fighting a character. We didn't look at it thinking, "Oh my God, we're fighting a girl. Oh, how dare you beat a girl? She's beating your ass." When you first encounter poison, she whips you so badly it's not even funny. Period. So something they added later. So if you wanted to, get the male parts that come with some of the Phicen figures and shove them into her pants, knock yourself out. It's not important to me. I don't care. I don't care what you want to call yourself or what you are or how you're built or whatever. It's not important to me in that regards. And she didn't have stuff all hanging out of her shorts in the video game. She doesn't have a whatever else. So this is my Phicen poison, or my poison, as I remember her from the video game, and that's how I made her. So I don't know. I it wasn't an issue when the game first came out. People made it an issue. You know what I mean? Why make something an issue that's not an issue? Who cares? She's kicking your ass. It's a fight, a predetermined fight, with a referee. She joined the fight. He, whatever the case, joined the fight. But somebody's like, "Oh, you got somebody beating up a girl." Oh no, she's not a girl. She's both, or however they explained it. It just irks me. Who cares? Truthfully, who cares? Really, she didn't want to get involved in a fight. She shouldn't have joined it. Wasn't like you're going to her house, pulling her out of the house, and beating her. It was a fight, street fighter with a referee. She joined it. She's trained. Welcome, Robert. She sure is. Yep. The explanation later by the game designers is that she has male parts. Thank you. Thank you for the shirt. Blue thumbs up. My wife says I look really good in blue. Storm, you talking about from the X-Men? See, the whole thing with that was, and of course I'm a huge Marvel fan. I really am. I'm a DC fan as well, I guess I would say. But I just steered clear of the entire X-Men franchise. For one reason, I don't have enough room for all that. And obviously, Deadpool is kind of an X-Man thing, but Deadpool is kind of not an X-Man thing. But with the Bryan Singer X-Men and all the little changes and whatever else and paths that it went down and whatever else, I just avoided that entire process. I would probably kit bash a Deadpool from whatever X-Men movie that was in, where he had his mouth like fused together and whatever else. I don't understand how the hell that's Deadpool, but I would probably do that, and I probably would eventually, get Logan and build like an X-Man thing. But I just feel that X-Men was just so lost, like Fantastic Four. They're just so lost that I couldn't bring them into my collection happily, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I just couldn't. I mean, I love Patrick Stewart playing Professor Xavier, and I love the first couple of X-Men movies. I thought they were great, and then they started going crazy and started retelling it and changing out the actors and redesigning the figures or the characters and all sorts of mess, and it just became a big conglomerate muck. And so I just never. I lost any attachment that would have been there, even though Logan has been a great Wolverine, played by golly, what is his name? They did a great job with Wolverine. He was perfectly cast. I just had a hard time with everything else, staying with that. So that's why I don't have a Storm. Why does suntan always look paler than the pale? Shouldn't it be darker? It is darker. The suntan is darker. She is darker than the pale. Like I said, I don't know how the image is actually coming across here, but she is darker. She really is. Um, she's darker than I am, actually. The suntan one is, and the pale is paler than I am. So I'm in between the two. My skin tone is in between the two of them, but it might be real difficult to see here. But she's not dark. She's just darker. And like I said, this will be the one that you want to do. For the most part, if you're doing a Hot Toys figure, most of the Hot Toy figures that's going to match that skin right there. A lot of times when distributors and retailers sell these accessories to clothing, they'll tell you use this Phicen figure, or this was the Phicen figure that was used in the photographs of this. So you'll get that a lot of times, and sometimes even when these retailers will sell the pieces, they'll sell a Phicen body also as an option. So you can buy, for instance, the clothing for whatever, let's just say $60 or $100 or whatever, and then if you wish, you can buy the Phicen body as well for 60 or $100 or whatever, and so you can make your decision then if you want to get the Phicen body that's recommended for it with that purchase, unless you have Phicen bodies laying about and you just want to put that together. So a lot of times they've already done the testing for you to tell you this goes with the 23B or whatever body that they use for that. Or you might disagree. You might say, well, yeah, I want that body because of the shape and the skin tone, but I want to go with the seamless feet. So you might say, I don't want to get the 23B, and I don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it is with the seamless feet versus the detached feet. But you might say, I want to go with the 34A or something, and get the seamless feet. But that's how that works. I don't know what type body gets small, medium, suntan, pale. I'd go with the suntan, and I would go with the smallest breasts that you can find, because even the small breasts are large. They really are. Red Skull Sideshow Collectibles clothes. Oh yeah. And the Soul Ghost head. Oh man, that's gonna look good. I've looked at that Red Skull a lot, and it looks really good. I think that's gonna be a great kit bash. Lou Vega, welcome. Better late than never, always. It's going good. Thank you. Is Dr. Girlfriend a dude? I don't know who Dr. Girlfriend is. I am the monarch. Sorry, I don't get that. Progressiveness is people that don't buy the product complain. Yeah, no doubt. Seeing that poison makes me want to kit bash a Ryu. Oh, that'd be cool. Okay, and Chung Li was a Street Fighter for a year with no problem, right? Hello, right? I'm with you, man. That's my whole point. X-Men Origins Wolverine and Deadpool. Yeah, that was the movie he was in? Yeah, because I 100% accept Deadpool in every Earth. I 100% accept every version of Deadpool. Every one of them. I accept them all. I don't care how they decide they want to display Deadpool. He's Deadpool, and so to make the Deadpool collection, which I went over with a few weeks back, of all the different variants of Deadpool and all the different Earths as well, you have to have that X-Men Origins Deadpool. And to tell you the truth, I actually would add to this collection. This is probably going to blow some of your minds. I would add to my Deadpool collection of Deadpools in alternate Earths, Deathstroke. I would 100% add that Hot Toys figure of Deathstroke here and call it Deadpool. Any of you that are familiar with the Deadpool story of Marvel, and I kind of had to do my own research on this because I kind of missed Deadpool coming out. I fell in love with him after the movies and the video game. He's a direct ripoff of Deathstroke. For real, he is. Even the name Wade Wilson is very similar to Deathstroke's name, and the abilities and the badassness and whatever else. I don't think Deathstroke breaks the fourth wall, they may or may not officially deny or accept the fact that Deadpool is a total ripoff of Deathstroke, but I would 100% say, yeah, this is the DC Deadpool. This is Deadpool in the DC universe. I would put Deathstroke over here and call him Deadpool. I would. I would in a second. And that's a good looking figure. That Hot Toys Deathstroke. It's a good looking figure. He would look good on my Deadpool shelf with Deadpool, and he would be the DC Universe Deadpool, which is really backwards because Deadpool is the Marvel Universe Deathstroke. If you know what I'm talking about, I would do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, so I would for fact love to pick up a Phicen body and just make it a Deadpool. I think that would be great. Trying to, do the mouth and the eyes on a head, trying to find a head, or even get one of these Wade Wilson head sculpts that are available and turning it into that somehow. I don't know, maybe melting the mouth together. I don't know. I don't know how you would do that. Tell you the truth, it'd be interesting. It'd be a neat little kit bash. I would enjoy to have that for my collection. I really would. That would be cool. The little black lines on his body and everything. It'd be great. Let's see. Every girl gamer I know loves Cammy and looks cool and kick ass, and they don't care if it's sexist or not. I'm with you. The ones that have a problem with it are the ones that have a problem with it. It's like for years, you know, um, Playboy magazine and those types of men's magazines. There's always been women that complained about those magazines because they would say they were sexist, or they degraded women and whatever else. But the women are the ones that are posing in it. They're not there against their will. So these women don't have a problem with it. Other women do have a problem with it. So there's always somebody that complains about something. There's always somebody who doesn't like what you're doing, or like who you stand for, or like what side of the fence you're standing on. And I think the problem with today's society is we're trying to please everybody, and that has been proven time and time again. You cannot please everybody. You can please some of the people all the time. You can please all of the people some of the time, but you will never please all of the people all the time. And if we continually are trying to please everybody, we're going to continue to have problems. I don't know what to tell you. You know, the majority rules. For instance, if there's 10 people here and they ask you what ice cream you want, and 7 of them want chocolate and 3 of them want vanilla, but you only got money enough to buy one flavor of ice cream, by golly, you're buying the chocolate. And the other 3 people, if they don't want chocolate, they just do without ice cream. I'm sorry, that's life. But nowadays, they're like, no, 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 you can't do that. You've got to buy the white ice cream, whatever the sacrifice is, for those 3 people that don't want or can't eat chocolate because they're allergic to it. Or we can't serve chocolate because this one person is allergic to it. So now everybody gets vanilla. The world doesn't work that way, I'm sorry to say. You know, it's not the way it is. You have to please the majority of the people. You'll figure it out sooner or later, if you haven't already. Keep trying to please the 1 out of the 10. There's going to be a problem later on. It really is. I hate to tell you, that's the way it works. It's life. I just got a Phicen and a MJ kit head with Spider-Man shirt and blue jeans. I think I seen the clothing. I didn't remember she came with a head. She came with a head? Oh my God, I missed that. Dogpool wants to scale. Yeah, I've got 2 of those. Which one did you get? Did you get the one where he's with, well, I guess I'm assuming you got this one. Is this the one you got? Is this the dog pool you have? I like my little dog pool. Is this the one that you got? I don't remember who made this. This is another dog pool. This was made by Gentle Giant. Came with a kit. But there's another dog pool. Deadpool says Dogpool has always been his favorite version of him. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I never realized I got a lot of Dark Knight Nolan kit bashes. They're great. Main Hot Toys is Armory and Joker. Rest Kit Bash side characters. Lucius Roz. I don't know who Ross is. Lucius Roz. I don't know who that is. You should watch Boba Fett versus Deadpool rap on YouTube. Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. Speaking of which, I heard Boba Fett's coming back. I hope they don't do him like they did Luke, right? Sheesh. You know, it's so funny. George Lucas knew how to tell a story. For real. When he gave us what later became 4, 5, and 6. And I knew it was number 4 in the beginning because I was reading about the whole thing of Star Wars when it came out back then. And I knew that there was a prequel to the whole thing. And he said the reason he didn't tell the first 3 stories because it was just a lame story in the first place. So he went with the strong story, which is middle into the whole story because he'd written them all out. For the most part, I had a pretty good idea in his mind where everything was. So he knew where Darth Vader came from. He knew all of that already. It just hadn't been fleshed out into paper per se. But so we called them 1, 2, and 3, the first Star Wars. It wasn't called number 4, New Hope. It was called Star Wars. But when that came out, you know, it was such a well-told story that to find that they would change it later in 7, 8, and 9 because you brought people in that have no idea what the whole thing is and asked them to tell a story. I mean, I'm watching a show on that, and one of the people responsible for 7, 8, and 9 literally said, you know, we decided we didn't want the women to be princesses. We wanted them to be tough. So literally, for real, you're telling me that Leia Organa was not tough? She had to rescue herself for the most part. Luke and Han show up. You know, they're going to bust her out of jail. And she's like, you know, give me that blaster. She's the one that's doing it. She's tough. She was always has been tough. She was not the damsel in distress. For those of you who don't know anything about Star Wars, you believe that Princess Leia Organa was a damsel in distress that needed rescuing. I can probably pretty much guarantee you, if they hadn't come to rescue her, she would have gotten herself out of that one way or another. She wasn't a damsel in distress that needed to be rescued. I don't believe for 1 second that she would have perished and died in there if it hadn't been for the rescue efforts of Luke and Han. She would have found a way out of there. I guarantee you, she is tough. Leia Organa is tough. She wasn't a little prissy damsel in distress like some of the creators and writers of the last 3 movies were under the impression that she was, and they felt they needed to portray women in a different light. Go figure. Any of you hardcore original Star Wars people know that Leia Organa, Princess Leia, was not a little fingernail, oh my god, I busted a fingernail girl. She was tough. 100% tough. She stood up to Darth Vader. Dude could choke you out and not even be near you. Kill you from like light years away on a Star Destroyer. You're now in command. And she's like looking him dead in the face. And somehow he didn't realize who she was. And she didn't realize who he was, even though they have the Force. That question I have no answer to. But she's kick-ass. I don't give a damn. She is tough. But that was some of the answer as to why they had to write 7, 8, and 9 the way that they did. Because they wanted to make sure that women were tough. Give me a break. Like my grandpappy used to say, the day it starts raining cookies, someone will complain there's not enough milk. No doubt. This world is crazy. It's done lost its mind. Yeah. And that goes back to what I was just saying earlier today. I feel that 7, 8, 9 would have been better if Daisy played Kylo. And she still ended up being the same person that they told us that she was at the end of the 9th movie. Follow me? And we didn't know that until the 9th movie still. That would have been great. But I guess somebody had a problem with them making a woman the bad guy. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't do that. I think she would have been a better Kylo Ren. And I don't mean making her Kylo Ren. I mean making her the Sith, the dark figure, the Darth Vader, if you will, in those three movies. And if they made Kylo Ren the one living on, you know, Tatooine or wherever it was that they found her, and and him still having the same parents and her still having the same parents, and that still being the case, that would have been a better three movies for fact. Adam Driver playing the Rey character as Kylo Ren, having the same parents. Daisy playing the Kylo Ren character as Rey with the same parents. Same things happening. The Rey, the Dark Sith, killing off the guy, trying not to divulge too much of the movie, just in case, for whatever God's forsaken reason, there's one of you that haven't seen these movies. I don't want to ruin it for you, but still having her turning on the saber and killing the guy, those all those things still happening, because that would have worked as well. That would have still worked as well. It really would have. I think it would have been a so much better movie. I really do. I would have hated Rey for a different reason then. I would have hated her because she was Darth Vader. The same reason that we hate Darth Vader. Because he's the Darth Sith Lord. But we would have understood more where she's coming from. Or why she is what she is. Because of who she is. And that is what makes her what and who she is. And Kylo would have been a different story as well. We'd have understood Kylo, why and who he is, and where he's coming from, and what he's doing, and why he might be lost, and whatever else. And that's how they should have wrote it. Too late. It'll never happen, though. It's done. We're stuck with what it is. Welcome from Brazil, Paulo Henrique Dantas. Welcome, welcome. Finn and Poe look weaker in the last two, or in all three of them. Yeah, for fact. Bon dia. Hola. Ghost TV. Harrison Ford didn't even care to shave at the end. He was, from my understanding, he was just burned out on the whole thing. Same thing with Mark Hamill when they were reading all the Star Trek scripts. I really think that they were totally disenfranchised over it. They're fans of it as well. I mean, Harrison's original role was Nobody from American Graffiti. And then he was cast into Han Solo. George Lucas made American Graffiti. Then George Lucas made Star Wars after American Graffiti. And Harrison Ford was working a set design for Star Wars. And he asked him to read for him the Han Solo part. And that was pretty much what made Harrison Ford. But he was in American Graffiti first, a George Lucas film, and then he came into Star Wars later. And it's what really made Harrison Ford was Star Wars, the Han Solo character, and he was totally disenfranchised as well. Him and Mark Hamill just literally were through with that when they were reading through 7, 8, and 9. They're like, whatever, just whatever. It's crying shame, And they're sitting here saying, the creators of the last three movies, they have no connection or affiliation or compassion or care or concern or thought, or even they did not want to make any movie that any of us wanted. If you were a Star Wars fan, they specifically went out of their way to make a movie that you would not like. I don't get that. That's beyond me. Why you would do that? It's stupid. It's stupid. It really is. There's a difference between, for instance, Randy Newman, wonderful artist, songwriter, creator. I recently watched a kind of a documentary of his life, and the person that was doing the interviewing of him made a comment towards the end of the show that the entire time he was with Randy and having Randy perform all of his songs, I guarantee you there's Randy Newman songs I guarantee you these songs. And as he was performing these songs and talking about the creation of these songs, Randy had said something to the effect of he wasn't writing the songs for the fans because he'd already won the fans. He was writing the songs for the people that weren't the fans to try to sway them to him. So that is the proper way of looking at something, to say you're not making something for the fans because you're not upsetting the fans. You're really trying to speak to the people who are not your fans to draw them to into the flock, into the fold, into the group of love of everyone that loves the art. Okay? So that's how you address the people who aren't the fans, to win them, but you're not stepping on the toes of the ones that are the fans because they're already the fans. So he said, kind of in a roundabout way, that he doesn't make his music for the fans. He makes the music for those that aren't his fans because he wants to make them fans. Star Wars, the last three movies, they went after the ones that weren't the fans to try to get the fans, while stepping on the toes and throwing away the existing fans. And that is the wrong way of creating anything. Create something new. Create something to bring in a new artist or a new audience. Create something that makes somebody want to love your work and to discover everything about your work and to become a fan of your work without pissing off those who are already a fan of your work. You don't have to make it for them anymore, but you don't have to disregard them when you do it. You can make it for the new people. But keep in mind, you still have your fans that love the work that you do. And as long as you don't go out of your way to insult them, which is what Kennedy did with Star Wars specifically, to insult the fans, you're not going to make anybody angry. And you're going to draw in new fans because that's who you made the work for. Make the work for the new fans, to create new fans, people who aren't fans, to sway them into it without destroying the fan base. And if artists follow that simple rule, you're not going to have a problem. You don't have to make it for your fans. You don't have to keep making commercial product. You don't have to make product continually the way that it is to appease the people who've already been following you. But also don't discount or throw away or disrespect those fans for the creation of the new. Because you might not win them. And then you're in trouble. Anyway, see the Mortal Kombat, Robocop, Terminator. Someone please make a movie using those visuals. Peter Willing doing the voice, so cool. Really? I wanted to see Finn become a Jedi at the end. I did too. I really wanted Finn to be a Jedi. I really did. I thought he would find some way. You know, in the first few movies, we were literally under the belief that anybody could become a Jedi. And then, you know, they did the first three movies. They told us that you're predestined to be a Jedi or not. And I hated that. And I think that was the wrong way to go. I don't care for that. I think that was a mistake. But yeah, I would have enjoyed Finn becoming a Jedi. That'd have been great. So Peter sounds young in the voiceover. I'm gonna have to check that out. Wes Asso makes the best Randy Newman. Really? I love that fight in Mortal Kombat. Seeing that alone proves they can make a movie using those visuals. Just get Peter and Arnie voice. It would be tough to make Robo as fast as Terminator. Possibly. Because Robocop is still a human brain, and Terminator is a computer brain. And you would assume that a computer could generate a thought quicker than a human, which we don't. I don't know if that would be necessarily true or not. You know what I mean? Which computer works faster, your brain or the computer brain? That's a tough question. That's one to think about. They treated Carrie wrong. They had a long-time drug addict died by overdosing on the Force. Yeah. Robo always kind of heavy, clunky, and slow. Yeah, he kind of like. I think today's Robocop would be different. If they were like to make a today Robocop, and I think they did try to make a. Did they try to make like an updated Robocop, like a 2049 Robocop or something? I don't remember. And they changed it up. I didn't see the movie. But yeah, Robocop should be just as fast as Terminator. For real. It's just a brain-controlled robot. Robocop was, right? Serious. Look up Mortal Kombat Robocop Terminator fight. Just came out. The visuals look so good. Love to see this movie. I will have to check that out. I'll definitely have to check that out. So, kept you guys almost 2 hours. What else you got on your mind? 2014 Robocop. Moves super fast. Okay, so that was the remake. It was called 2014. Okay. Or no, that was when the movie came out. What was it called? Wasn't it called like 2049 Robocop or something? Or was it just called Robocop? What was the name of that movie? I didn't see it, but I know they did it like a different Robocop instead of him being like the silverish color. He was kind of black, wasn't he? Don't remember. I didn't see the movie, but um, so next week let's do the Star Wars. We'll go over all the androids that I have, the Astromechs, not androids. We'll go over the R2D2s, the Hot Toys and the Sideshow ones, all of those Astromechs, the C3POs, the Stormtroopers I have, the BB-8s, the BB-9s, and that's what next week we'll talk about. And possibly we'll get into the Ultrons. Ultron, I don't think he's a Prime. I think he's just an Ultron. I don't think they ever made Prime. I don't think they ever made, Hot Toys made a full-on complete Ultron with everything that he had at the end of the movie. But we have the different versions of Ultron the Hot Toys made. We'll do that next week. Star Wars and Ultron. Unless, for whatever reason, I get notification from somebody that a figure's coming, we will unbox that. That will be next week. But I have heard nothing about any new figures being released at all. And I'm chomping at the bit, wanting my figures. I really am. It's so difficult because I've got to keep in mind that I've got to pay for all these figures that are coming out. And so I'll be like, oh man, let's go ahead and track down that Punisher, Netflix Punisher, Frank Castle. Let's go ahead and track that down. Or let's go ahead and buy an Avengers Loki or something to that effect. Let's track that down. Or let's pick up some Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And that's what comes to my mind is like, yeah, let's get these figures. Let's buy them from resellers and people who are getting rid of them out of their collection. And I so much am tempted to buy these figures because I want these figures. I don't have any figures coming in. But I know that if I spend that money on that figure, I'm not going to be able to afford the ones I've got coming in. They're just going to be, I guarantee you I'm going to get like 12 emails in one day. They're saying all these figures are shipping in 3 days. You need to have the money to pay for it. Oh my God. It's tough. It's tough. Tough hobby, man. The figures are not cheap. They're not $20 figures. They really aren't. So, and they take up a lot of space. I mean, what do we have here? 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 figures here. Covered up my thing. This entire space, if you're collecting 1/12 Marvel Select, figures, you could put probably 100 in this same space here with 10 or so, easily, and they would be a tenth of the price. Sheesh. It's a very expensive hobby in regards to the cost of the figures and the cost of the real estate that they take up in your place where you have them displayed. So you can never get them all. You want them all, but you can't get them all. Ed 209. I've seen the Ed 209. It looks really good. It really does. I've heard that all the Eds have a bad problem, just like Ironmonger. All the Ironmongers have a problem too, in the hips. We're at the point where the inside of the leg connects to the pelvis. Ironmonger. Every one of them have a problem. You did a mod for the dome. He's casting in a loudspeaker cloth. Oh, I bet that looks good. Kind of held off Hot Toys Ed because of the rubber. Was it hard to mod? Really wish they'd fix the voice. Naked did better on voice. It has a voice? The Hot Toys one did? Hot Toys Ed 209 rubber dome replacement. There's a video, Ghost Half says, to watch. and it tells you how to do that. And he says he used a speaker cloth for that. So there you go. There's your fix. He looks good. He looks good. You know, it's a good looking figure. I've often one of those that are way back in the mind. You know, it would probably be one of the last ones that I would buy of all the other grails, if you would. But you know, if I ever got to the end of the internet, more or less, if I've surfed everything, if I've bought every figure that I want, I would get Ed 209. It's good looking figure, and I have a connection to Robocop. I didn't know they had a sound box in them. That's cool. I'm sure anything can be done. I'm sure any modification can be made. I'm sure you could easily rip up your NECA, get the voice out of the NECA one and start carving it up. I mean, I've disassembled a few Hot Toys in the past, so it can be done. I don't recommend it unless you plan on destroying your figure with the intent of bringing it back, and you complete the project. But it can be done. Sure, of course it can. Anything can be done. So I believe I'm going to wrap this up and end this video. Like Toy Mafia said, next week. I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in. I love every one of y'all. Share, like, subscribe. You know the drill. Every one of us YouTubers ask you to do the same thing. And we also ask you to subscribe to Patreon. But nothing to offer you except my love and the satisfaction that you would get knowing that you are helping me to produce these videos. Trust me, $1 a month isn't paying for these figures. We're talking about a $300 figure, $12 a year. 10 years would be $120. You would be paying me for 30 years in order to pay for one of my figures. So no, you contributing to my Patreon isn't paying for my figures. It's helping. That is what helps. It's motivation. It's telling me you guys like what I'm doing so much so to keep going to work. That's kind of why I only started doing the live videos. I got tired of spending hours, and hours, 40 hours a week making a video, and then YouTube giving me 45 cents for it. It just really was a real... And I think you guys really loved the videos. YouTube didn't love the videos. So, who knows? Anyhow, guys, thank you very much. Love you all very much. Thanks for sticking in. And I will see y'all on the next video.